are a regional land conservancy, and our mission is to save land.
In our 20 years, we've saved almost 20,000 acres.
The Gulf Coast is this incredible place, and I want my children and grandchildren to have that same place.
They said we need a mechanism to save land, and a land trust is the way to do it.
And said to ourselves, we'll give this 5 years and see if the community congeals behind this effort, and lo and behold, 20 years later, here we are.
I remember in the early days of Conservation Foundation, it was a small organization, and it was very much a hands-on organization.
It's amazing to have seen the evolution from our little one-room office on Blackburn Point Road to now a fully staffed, fully articulated professional land trust, and the increasing impact the organization has had in the community.
What the foundation brought was a professionalism.
We can do things faster, more creatively, more flexible than a public agency. We can help them complete their mission, but our mission is to get more done more quickly.
When they say we save land, they mean it. They save land. You can look at a map and see it's an amazing amount of work they've gotten done.
I knew it was going to be successful. What I didn't know was just how successful it was going to be. Branching out from Sarasota County literally into the entirety of the region.
Everything that's green on the map is already protected. Our opportunity is to expand these protected areas and connect them.
It's important for our future that we get this right. We need to develop what should be developed, and we need to conserve what needs to be conserved. We need to have that balance.
Preserving land can do so many things for us. It helps us be resilient to storms, to flooding. It helps us grow food. And we have a tremendous concentration of wildlife and plants that are found here in our state. We want to save places for them to live, and it gives places for people to go outside and enjoy nature.
Whether it's saving a part of a river important to the rest of the ecosystem or creating a park for a community, I think there are as many reasons to save land as there are people who want to save it.
We're able to get in and save the land that matters the most, and we're able to work with everybody in a collaborative manner.
And it's a win for the entire population, whether they live, work, play, or visit here.
Florida is about having the right amount of water in the right place, and land conservation is one of the most critical tools to make that happen.
Saving land is so imperative to Florida's water quantity as well as quality.
Clean water comes from good earth. We need open space if we want to have clean water.
The land works to clean and filter the water that we all depend on.
Everything that happens on land has an impact on our waterways.
Residential or agriculture fertilizers can wash into our waterways, and that can create issues like lowering the dissolved oxygen to levels too low for fish, or it can also create more macroalgae, which can smother and kill off our seagrasses.
No nature, no cleansing, pollutants kill the bay. It's just that simple.
What's also important, though, is flood control.
As Floridians, we know what flooding is like. We know the devastation it can cause, the way that it disrupts our lives. And there's no way to avoid flooding. We'll always have a rainy season, we'll always have flooding. The thing we can control is to have a place for the water to go to. Open spaces have a tremendous capacity to absorb rainwater, to absorb floodwaters, to store them.
The flooding in Northport and Port Charlotte from the recent hurricanes would have been many, many times worse had we not preserved natural land. It is one of the most important flood protection mechanisms that we have at our disposal.
So saving the land, having the land work for us to hold that water, to filter that water, is imperative in land conservation for the state of Florida.
The foundation is opening doors to people to the outdoors, and I think that's invaluable.
People need nature to have balance in their lives. I'm sure everyone has walked into nature and could feel their blood pressure go down. That's what nature provides us, in addition to, of course, food and clean water and recreation.
It's really important to have these natural areas, not just for the ecological values, but it's a place for people to make a spiritual connection with the world around them.
The great outdoors is the first step to any child's grand life adventure. Kids need nature in order to start building a foundation that will carry them through the rest of their lives. It helps kids see their world in a different way.
One of the things that the Selby Foundation loves about the Conservation Foundation is your focus on youth programming.
When kids are able to get outside, we see them having better grades, less trouble. They become curious, and they become conservationists in their adulthood.
It's important for the children that they understand. The land is a blessing to us from Mother Nature. Therefore, we've got to conserve it.
The Conservation Foundation brings a lot of value to the Sarasota Housing Authority, primarily because they expose young people to nature. They foster this interconnectedness that's so important for our young people to get at an early age. They're excited, they love it. The foundation, Sabrina, they're really making an impact.
When children come out to the Crowley Museum and Nature Center to learn, our hands-on and immersive education is unique. You can't find it anywhere else. They're using their hands, they're speaking to one another. It helps with a lot of things that they are so far withdrawn from in a modern and technological world. There needs to be a place where we reconnect with each other and nature and relax and slow down. And places like Crowley are a great place to do that. Conservation Foundation was absolutely instrumental in helping us conserve this wonderful and unique piece of land.
We're here to help this region prosper.
We can't have amazing beaches. We can't have amazing recreational opportunities in nature or even sports tourism if we don't have the land to put those amenities on.
It's what attracts visitors to our area. It's vital for our economy. We all need land preservation for a healthy community for everyone.
Ecological preservation creates our economy. From the tourist industry, the beaches, the bay, our state parks, how critical a role nature plays.
Open space, parks, trails make our communities more livable. They bring people together as a gathering place.
And I think that's one of the reasons many people come to the state, for the quality of life that's provided by our open spaces.
Gulf Coast has been a proud partner of Conservation Foundation of the Gulf Coast for all of your 20 years. We remember your founding through rewilding the celery fields and the opportunity to see birds up close and to be in nature right in a very heavily trafficked area of Sarasota.
This has become a really attractive place for recreation of all kinds. It's always wonderful to see people enjoying nature, certainly enjoying birds as they fly around. Sarasota Audubon provides education about the environment. Conservation Foundation actually saves land. And without those two things dovetailing, the world would be a poorer place.
We're so fortunate to have an organization such as the Conservation Foundation right here in our community that could partner with us for what we are trying to achieve here at Bobby Jones. We had almost 300 acres here that we wanted to keep as a green space, and knowing the Conservation Foundation's work throughout the community, that would be the organization to partner with to make that happen. So it's a win-win. You have green space that's protected and recreation. To me, it's a true gem, a true gem for this community.
Conservation Foundation helped us lead the referendum for the extension of the Legacy Trail.
Before 2018, we had about 250,000 users. Today, it's approaching 700,000 users. Part of that was due to the work by the Conservation Foundation. The Legacy Trail has also been successful in providing access to people to nature, which they otherwise would not have had. It's a linear park connecting multiple communities, but maybe more importantly, it provides a safe, healthy environment for people to get exercise, whether they're walking or running or bicycling.
Florida's agricultural history is very much a part of Florida's story. The large ranches that Conservation Foundation helps to protect also have large parts of them that are natural.
Of the 19,200 acres Conservation Foundation's protected in our 20 years, at least 3/4 of that is ranch land.
We work with ranchers so that they can get the permanent protection with the conservation easement that can help them continue to operate their ranch while protecting the natural resources.
Everybody wants to have some kind of legacy in this world.
it is a good feeling to know that you had something to do with protecting this land.
Buying Triangle Ranch was one of the best things I ever did in my life. I was overwhelmed by the beauty of this ranch. The Mayaca River flows through here for nearly 3 miles. There was so much life here. Without the help of the Conservation Foundation, I never would have understood the value, the importance of a conservation easement. Zoning can easily be changed, and putting a conservation easement on the land ensures its conservation in perpetuity. If you think about it, ranch lands, they're basically the last areas of open space.
There's a lot of pressures that are pushing people off of farms. Land preservation will keep that land as a farm for generations to come.
So we partner very strongly with these ranchers to make sure that they can continue the heritage of their family that have been here for hundreds of years, and so that we have these food sources and that we have good, pristine lands and clean water in the state of Florida forever.
We save land for people and for wildlife.
Gulf Coast has partnered with Conservation Foundation to protect environmentally sensitive lands, really creating places where our natural wildlife, trees and plants can thrive.
Protecting native habitats is incredibly important for plants and animals in our area.
These are the places that they rear their young, that they eat, that they build their homes in, and without that, they cannot survive.
And to create that space, that safe habitat for all those other creatures is really an important part of our journey on this earth.
Saving land absolutely is important for the mega species like the panther, all the way down to infinitesimal, tiny little microscopic microbes that we need in our soil.
When we save land, we save the places that they need, their habitats.
And one example of that is the celery fields and the quad parcels around that.
The quad parcels are to the west of the celery fields proper, and we pitched to the county to create a buffer between the commercial buildings that are to the west and the celery fields to the east. If there were a lot of human action at the perimeters, wildlife retreat into the center, and that sets up competition for resources and declines in breeding and in population. So creating a buffer is essential.
When we save land, it's not just today, it's forever. Part of that is investing in restoration and enhancement.
Land restoration is a very important part of the puzzle when it comes to thinking about conservation overall. It's when we take areas that are ecologically degraded and we change that trajectory. We build these ecosystems back up from the bottom of the food chain up. Usually that means correcting the plant communities. And when we get the right kinds of plants in there, the insects come back, the larger animals come back. So it's a way we can take an area that's been degraded and fix it and make it better.
We recently partnered on the Mayaca Headwaters Preserve restoration. Conservation Foundation of the Gulf Coast purchased that very important property, but they needed to restore it, to remove the exotics and replant natives, and to restore those beautiful freshwater marshes and river segments along the Mayaca River.
Wildlife corridors are parcels of land that are linked together, protected so that they never get developed, so that animals and plants can migrate.
Wildlife desperately need corridors. Scrub jays are a perfect example. A scrub jay family needs at least 20 acres, and it's hard to find these blocks of scrub. So the only way they're going to survive is if they can connect to other areas and to other families.
So these wildlife corridors provide an opportunity for the creatures that have a particular genetic composition in this area to move to that area and to that area, keeping the gene pool robust.
One of the strengths of Conservation Foundation of the Gulf Coast is you take a regional approach.
You can look at a map of several counties, and there's huge chunks of land Conservation Foundation has protected. And for me, that's amazing to have an impact on a multi-county level like that.
We are working on our corridor from Manatee down to Collier County. We need to connect our conserved lands to the Florida Wildlife Corridor, and we're working to make those connections.
People and wildlife need corridors. People desire connection and they want to move through a landscape, same as wildlife. And we know if we work on these areas, we're doing some of the best work that we can.
Florida is one of the fastest growing states.
A lot of people love this area because of the natural beauty, and a lot of people are moving here to take advantage of that. It's really important to balance that with conservation and restoration.
There is such a push right now to develop.
Natural lands are not something that we get back. Once they're gone, they're gone.
Every piece of property that we can conserve in the next 10 to 20 years may be all that we'll ever be able to protect.
I see development going further and further out. I see the rural line pushed further and further out. I see entire ways of life being lost. I see ecosystems being lost.
Are things only going to get worse? That's a really scary thought for me. I don't want to see that. I want to see a future that's better than today. And I'm excited about the things that we're doing to make Florida better.
People didn't move to Florida because of the beautiful roads or the beautiful plazas or malls. People moved here because of the beautiful nature and beautiful place. And we need to recognize that and protect that so it's still here for future generations.
But there's still a lot to do, and we still have a lot of land to preserve.
So in order to strike a balance, we have to accelerate our efforts in preserving open space.
We need to focus our attention now on saving the critical places that remain in our communities.
One of the things I love about the Conservation Foundation is the leadership of the organization really works with everyone. You're able to work with lawmakers, you're able to work with landowners, you're able to work with people that just care about the environment.
They're open to everyone. I think they get it. I think they understand it can't be just the Conservation Foundation alone doing this work, that we need the entire community, we need all citizens, we need youth, we need everyone.
The Conservation Foundation of the Gulf Coast, from my direct experience, has some of the most passionate, competent staff I have ever had the pleasure of working with.
Being an accredited land trust is an important distinction that signals donors that they can trust us, and that obviously helps us further our mission.
And it's an important mission for all of us to have a future that we want to be a part of, that we want to see for our community.
I'm a passionate donor to Conservation Foundation because I really believe in your leadership and your board and the life-changing work that you do. You are saving land forever.
There are very few organizations that can say your money will be used for a forever purpose and it's leveraged with the funds from others.
The impact of a donation to Conservation Foundation is just phenomenal. Since our inception, we have been able to leverage each dollar donated to us 4 times for land conservation.
We never saved a piece of land that we didn't raise some endowment for, so that when we committed to folks to do this forever, we could meet that commitment.
One of the best things I can do with my wealth is to save land. We can't count on the government to do that for us. It's up to individuals to actually put their wealth into saving land and open space.
The amount of land that they have been able to put aside is very impressive. And if you're a legacy donor, it shows the faith that you have to support their mission for the future.
This is where my legacy is going to be, with this foundation, with the young people.
And this is a great organization. It really is. And there's no other organization like it.
And I just can't imagine a better investment than supporting the Conservation Foundation. If we could give more, the more they can do.
This was a crazy idea in 2003 that seemed insurmountable. And as we chipped away at it and we built momentum, I see that the momentum continues.
I am in awe of the work that the organization continues to do 20 years later.
My hope for Conservation Foundation's future is that it can continue to grow and continue to create that culture of conservation that will allow us to protect the Florida that we love for years to come.
That we have a balanced approach to our continued development, and that we save these precious places so that future generations have the opportunity to enjoy them.
My hope for the future is that people will become informed decision makers about the importance of open space, a clean environment, clean water, space for other animals.
That we are mindful of how we use our resources and that we really pay attention to those who are coming after us.
We can work to save these last remaining critical places.
Land conservation is really something where the whole community can come together and can step forward with a singular message.
We save land. And we save land for everybody, not just a certain group of people. Doesn't matter what your age is, doesn't matter what your economic status is, doesn't matter about anything except it's there for you.
This was not an accident. It was not an act of government. It was the action of the people standing up and defending what was important to them, and that's preserving environmentally sensitive lands.
The work we do is difficult. The work that we do is costly, but it is so urgent and it is so necessary, and isn't it worth it?
Saving land, to me, is not only a constant labor of love, but a promise to tomorrow.
Being a part of the Conservation Foundation, it means a lot. It's important, it gives me a lot of satisfaction, and I think I'll be proud to tell my kids and my grandkids that I had something to do with it.